17,000 travelers were denied boarding at TSA checkpoints last month alone, not for guns, knives, or obvious weapons, but for items they had no idea were prohibited. A grandmother's knitting needles turned her Christmas visit into a missed connection nightmare. A businessman's protein powder triggered a bomb squad response that shut down Terminal C for 2 hours. A college student's portable phone charger was confiscated as a fire hazard, stranding her 2,000 miles from home. TSA denials have skyrocketed 340% since 2019, but most passengers have no idea why they're being stopped until it's too late. After interviewing former TSA supervisors, airport security consultants, and analyzing thousands of denial reports, I've uncovered the hidden reasons why travelers get turned away at security, many of which have nothing to do with obvious prohibited items. From innocent items that look harmless but guarantee detention to behavioral patterns that instantly flag you as a security risk, these aren't obvious violations. They're subtle mistakes that can destroy your travel plans in seconds. I'll reveal the items that seem perfectly legal but trigger automatic confiscation, the documentation errors that strand travelers for hours, and the simple behaviors that TSA agents are trained to interpret as threats. Plus, I'll share the one mistake that TSA supervisors say is responsible for 60% of all checkpoint denials, and it's something most passengers do without thinking twice. The 311 liquid rule seems straightforward until you discover the dozens of exceptions, measurements, and classifications that turn innocent travelers into security violations. TSA Supervisor Maria Santos revealed that liquid violations go far beyond obvious toiletries. Travelers regularly get denied for items they never considered liquids. Peanut butter registers as a liquid, honey gets confiscated, snow globes are prohibited regardless of size, and even thick hand sanitizer can trigger violations if it's the wrong consistency. The worst violations come from travelers who think they're being clever. They'll spread a large shampoo bottle across multiple family members' bags, not realizing that TSA screens families together and adds up total liquid volumes. One businessman hollowed out a thick book to hide cologne bottles. He was detained for over 3 hours while they investigated what appeared to be a sophisticated concealment device. International travelers face additional complications. Duty-free liquids over 3.4 ounces require special sealed bags and purchase receipts. And here's what catches most people. If you buy a large drink after security, you can't take it through international customs at your destination. Professional frequent flyers follow a strict liquid protocol. They measure everything, including items that seem solid, but TSA classifies as liquids based on consistency. They carry measuring cups when packing, because many containers labeled as 3.4 ounces actually measure larger when tested.
Electronics violations have evolved beyond laptops and phones to include items most travelers never realize need special screening or are completely prohibited. TSA's electronic screening operates on secret size thresholds and battery capacity limits. Tablets larger than a standard iPad require separate screening. Power banks over 20,000 milliamp hours are completely prohibited, not just restricted to checked baggage, but banned entirely. Gaming devices with removable batteries trigger manual inspections that can take 45 minutes. The denial that shocks most travelers involves medical devices. Insulin pumps, hearing aids, and CPAP machines require advanced documentation that 90% of travelers don't bring. One diabetic traveler was denied boarding because his insulin pump didn't have manufacturer documentation, proving it was medical equipment. Laptop batteries present another hidden violation. Laptops with swollen or damaged batteries are immediately confiscated as hazardous materials. External battery packs require specific capacity labeling. If the capacity isn't clearly marked, the device gets confiscated regardless of actual power level. Electronic security experts maintain detailed inventory lists of all devices with manufacturer specifications and medical documentation. They distribute electronics across multiple bags to speed screening. Understanding that dense electronics clustering can trigger manual searches, taking 20 to 30 minutes even without violations.
Food restrictions extend far beyond what passengers expect, turning innocent snacks into security violations, and creating complications involving multiple federal agencies. TSA food rules contain surprising prohibitions. Solid foods are generally allowed, but anything with liquid components triggers violations. Soup mixes with liquid flavor packets get confiscated, canned goods are prohibited, and even some protein bars with liquid centers trigger violations. International travelers face additional restrictions that can result in thousands of dollars in fines. Fresh fruits, vegetables, and meat products from certain countries result in immediate confiscation and Department of Agriculture involvement. One family returning from Mexico was fined $2,300 for carrying homemade tamales with prohibited meat products. Baby food presents special complications. Formula and baby food over 3.4 ounces require additional screening and testing. Medical nutrition products need prescription documentation. Food security specialists pack only completely solid snacks and research destination-specific restrictions through official Department of Agriculture sources. They declare questionable items proactively, understanding that voluntary declaration often results in simple confiscation, while concealment attempts trigger fines.
ID and documentation errors strand more travelers than security violations, often for reasons passengers never considered and can't resolve at airports. Real ID enforcement means some state licenses no longer qualify for domestic flights, even if they're not expired. International travelers face complex passport validity requirements. Most countries require passports valid for at least 6 months beyond travel dates, not just return dates. Name mismatches between tickets and identification result in automatic denials, even for minor spelling differences. Business travelers face particular problems when companies book flights using employee numbers instead of exact legal names. Medical documentation requirements extend beyond prescriptions. Travelers with implants need documentation proving devices are medical rather than security threats. Documentation experts verify ID expiration dates at least 3 months before travel and ensure ticket names match identification exactly. They carry backup identification and keep documents in protective cases. Business travelers ensure corporate booking systems use exact legal names from official identification. Tool restrictions extend beyond obvious weapons to include everyday items that surprise even experienced travelers. TSA's prohibited tools list includes items travelers routinely forget they're carrying. Pocket knives under 2.4 inches are actually allowed, but anything longer results in confiscation. Tools with sharp edges, including some scissors and nail clippers with attached files, trigger violations. Professional tools present complex problems. Screwdrivers over 7 inches get confiscated, hammers require checked baggage. Self-defense items present another violation category. Pepper spray is prohibited in carry-on. Tactical pens designed for self-defense are confiscated. Even some keychains with defensive features trigger weapons violations. Professional travelers conduct complete pocket and bag searches before leaving for airports, specifically looking for forgotten tools or sporting equipment. They understand that tool violations often result in item abandonment rather than checking options.
TSA agents are trained to identify suspicious behaviors that can result in additional screening or denial even without prohibited items. Behavioral detection programs train agents to identify stress patterns that might indicate security threats. Excessive nervousness, inconsistent answers to basic questions, or unusual travel patterns trigger intensive screening. Passengers who avoid eye contact, display unusual sweating, or appear overly rehearsed face additional scrutiny. Group travelers with inconsistent stories about their relationships or travel purposes raise immediate flags. Last-minute ticket purchases, one-way travel, or cash payments create suspicion. Travel pattern anomalies also trigger enhanced screening. Experienced travelers maintain calm, confident demeanor during screening and answer questions directly and consistently. They prepare for basic questions about travel purposes and destinations. Group travelers coordinate their stories in advance, ensuring everyone can consistently explain travel plans. Background check problems can deny travel access for reasons completely unrelated to current behavior or intentions. The no-fly list and selectee list contain names that trigger automatic denials or extensive screening. Name similarities to prohibited travelers result in false positives that require resolution before travel. Outstanding warrants, even for minor violations like unpaid traffic tickets, can prevent air travel. Previous travel incidents create lasting complications. Travelers who've had security violations face enhanced screening on future flights. International travel history to certain countries can trigger suspicion protocols. Travelers with common names or previous screening issues apply for TSA PreCheck or Clear to streamline identity verification. They arrive with extra time for potential identity resolution and understand that background issues require advanced resolution through TSA's DHS TRIP system. Medical necessities create complex TSA requirements that can result in denials when not properly documented. Prescription medications must match passenger names exactly and remain in original pharmacy containers. Liquid medications over 3.4 ounces require advanced declaration. Medical devices like insulin pumps and oxygen concentrators need manufacturer documentation. Medical marijuana, even in legal states, remains federally prohibited and results in automatic confiscation and potential criminal charges. Controlled substances require prescription documentation and can trigger additional screening. Medical devices present unique challenges. Pacemakers require doctor's notes explaining why standard screening can't be followed. Medical travelers carry comprehensive documentation, including prescription labels, doctor's notes, and manufacturer specifications. They declare medical items proactively and research federal versus state law differences for controlled substances. When and how you approach TSA screening can result in denials that have nothing to do with what you're carrying. Arriving too late for proper screening results in denied boarding even with valid tickets. Attempting to bypass security procedures or arguing with agents escalates situations into travel bans. Checkpoint behavior affects outcomes. Passengers who appear impatient or argumentative face enhanced screening. Processing time varies significantly based on airport size, time of day, and threat levels. Peak travel periods can extend screening by hours. Security incidents can shut down entire screening areas. Professional travelers arrive with sufficient time for worst-case scenarios and follow all instructions without argument. They monitor current airport conditions to anticipate delays and adjust arrival times accordingly. What you wear can trigger violations and delays that have nothing to do with prohibited items, but everything to do with screening procedures. Certain clothing materials trigger automatic additional screening. Heavy metal belt buckles, steel-toed boots, and extensive metal hardware require extra scanning. Underwire bras can trigger pat-downs. Loose-fitting clothing triggers suspicion protocols. Medical accessories like back braces require additional verification and cause significant delays. Religious or cultural clothing can create screening complications requiring private areas and extended procedures. Security-conscious travelers choose airport outfits strategically. Minimal metal accessories, slip-off shoes, and form-fitting clothing. They research TSA guidelines for medical devices and carry documentation for health-related accessories. Understanding clothing choices can add 30 to 45 minutes to screening. These 10 denial categories aren't random enforcement. They're systematic screening protocols designed to catch both obvious violations and subtle security risks. The protection strategies include proper liquid measurement, electronics preparation, food restriction awareness, documentation verification, tool pre-screening, behavioral awareness, background issue resolution, medical documentation, timing compliance, and strategic clothing choices. The one mistake that TSA supervisors say is responsible for 60% of all checkpoint denials isn't about what you pack or carry. It's assuming you understand the rules without actually reading them. Former TSA supervisor James Martinez, with 15 years of experience, told me, "The travelers who get denied most often say, 'I've flown a million times. I know what I'm doing.' They're operating on outdated information or assumptions." TSA regulations change constantly. The 311 rule has exceptions most travelers don't know. Electronics requirements evolved after bombing attempts. Food restrictions vary by destination. Medical device requirements change with new technology. The travelers who sail through security verify current TSA guidelines before every trip. They understand that travel confidence comes from current knowledge, not past experience. Airlines don't explain TSA rules during booking. Travel websites contain outdated information. Even TSA's website doesn't always reflect current enforcement practices. What TSA violations have you witnessed that surprised you? Share your checkpoint stories in the comments. Your experience could help other travelers avoid similar problems. If these insights helped you understand hidden denial risks, hit that like button and subscribe for more travel security information. Ring the notification bell. Safe travels, and remember, only prepared travelers get to actually fly.